my advice from the academic side would be to say to the student, if you're having to do a resit, then the first thing you should do, if you haven't already done it, and you should have done it, is go and speak to your either the module leader or the tutor that you had, because sometimes there's team teaching. Go and speak to that individual about the assessment that you submitted. Go through the feedback, understand where your shortfalls were, understand what you were strong in and what you could do, and to ensure that you maintain that, but to use that as your starting point. So you need to get that understood in your head first, particularly if it's around essays and structuring arguments and so on. If you don't learn those lessons, you're going to make the same mistakes again. So you need to understand what those pitfalls were. And then, as I said, and I think Mike also mentioned it, don't leave it to the last minute. Go and look at your resit assessment straight away, or as soon as you possibly can. Read it. Make sure you've got in your head a clear understanding of what it is you need to do, and then plan your time. So if you do that, you've then got time to go and speak to Mike and his team, or to go and speak to Jason if there's some other issue that's arisen. It could be around extenuation that's cropped up and you're looking for that advice. You can draw on these things, and you're being proactive rather than reactive. And if the student can do that, they'll be in a really good place to submit their work. So from the academic side, go and understand that feedback. Make sure you're clear about what you've been asked to do for the resit assessment, and then apply yourself. The one thing that I never did, and I learnt the lesson as a student, and I would recommend students do, is don't be afraid to go and speak to your tutor about your exam. They think exams are a taboo subject. The lecturer's not going to give me the questions that are coming up and so on. We're not ogres. We're not like that. What we will do, though, is we can help you to focus. So we can say to you, well, what's your knowledge of these areas? Well, they're a bit weak in that, bit shaky in that, strong in that. Okay, great. Well, make sure you can reinforce some of that area of grayness or uncertainty that you have. And so we can then remind them of things like, have you done your tutorial questions? Make sure you complete those lab assessments, particularly where you had a lot of those hand calculations in topics X and Y, so that the student is given some focused direction, rather than go and do all of your, go and read all your notes again, go and do all your labs again, go and do all your tutorials, which isn't helpful. But I know students do feel that exams are a taboo subject with lecturers, and they shouldn't be approaching them because their school upbringing tells them that. The exams are set elsewhere by some other anonymous body, and there's no point in asking the staff about, well, the exams. Well, we teach the material, we set the exams. If there's a revision class, make sure you listen to the recording. Yeah, there are very often very, very good notes and guides for students in those revision sessions. We don't do them for fun, we do them for a reason. And I think students reflect on their exam. If they're having to do a resit, then they need to learn that lesson and go and look at those materials that have been specifically provided for the resit or for whatever the type of assessment is.